Broadcasting from Manhattan Beach and the World Wide Web, you're listening to CHSR, HealthyLife.net.
As a service to our listeners, this program is for general information and entertainment purposes only. CHSR HealthyLife.net does not recommend, endorse, or object to the views, products, or topics expressed or discussed by show hosts or their guests. We suggest you always consult with your own personal, medical, financial, or legal advisor.
You are listening to Guiding Stars Evolutionary Astrology Radio. This is Kristin Fontana, and I'm here with my co-host, Rose Marcus, to discuss the transits for the end of January and February 2023. So welcome back, Rose, and Happy New Year.
Oh, same to you, Kristin.
So, we've been writing about the fact that we entered 2023 with all these retrogrades, Mars, Mercury, and Uranus in particular, very significant planets to be retrograde, because really you don't feel a lot of movement and motion out in the world, or even progress at times when things are retrograde. And now that everything's direct, everything in the solar system for the next 3 months are direct, slowly but surely the wheels will be moving and picking up speed, and we can all feel like we're moving at a better clip. And I was just telling Rose before we started, where have you been? I haven't talked to you in weeks. And she's like, I have no idea. Like I've been floating in outer space. But I really felt you in some other place. And so, I mean, if you've been feeling that way too, people, sort of in another place, outer space, not landed, not grounded, you're not alone. But now I do feel you're going to be back in your body, back in your skin, ready to roll, and we're going to set you up sweetly for the next month, aren't we?
Well, I also remember you saying several times of the start of the year getting on delay because of these retrogrades, especially the Mars retrograde transit, right? And so Here we are at the end of January, and we're just getting up and rolling now, I think. But Kristin, I've had some comments back from clients just as of recently. I don't know that you have as well, too. Mars has just recently turned direct in January. It was the 12th of January. And just to remind listeners out there, Mars is usually a 5 to 6 week transit through a sign, but because of the retrograde, which started at the end of October to the middle of January, we have Mars traveling through Gemini for 7 months. And this last third of the cycle is really the go time of the cycle. But what I've heard from people, and of course we just finished with Mercury retrograde as well too, what I've heard is that it's not quite what people expected, and that things are going wrong for them, or not proving the way they expected them to, and so on. And what I think about this Mars cycle is that it is, as I have said in columns and so forth, that it's springboard time and it's a good time to launch. But the end of Mercury retrograde, the end of Mars retrograde, the end of Uranus retrograde, these are putting into action that which has been on pause, and it's priorities, it's the soul priorities, it's the things that we need to address, the things that we need to get out of the way, the things that are inhibiting our growth, or the things that need to be eliminated, and so forth. That's also part of the agenda. Don't you agree?
Oh, for sure. And so when they say that things didn't quite play out like they wanted, do they mean right now or during the retrograde?
Right now, expecting it all to be all better and everything.
Oh, because Mars is direct now.
Because Mars is direct and everything is good, and it all works out fine. And instead, they found that can of worms, more problems than I expected. All of a sudden, I'm smack dab needing to address this. And that's exactly what this cycle is meant to do. Mars is very powerful right now. It's in an out-of-bounds dynamic as well, too, I think through until May, which means that it's very, very potent. So it's going to it's going to be very well targeted, and we have all the planets in direct motion right now as well, too, as you just said. So this is going to help you to confront whatever it is that you need to confront. We still have the transiting nodal axis, which is the south node moving through Scorpio and the north node moving through Taurus. The south node moving through Scorpio in particular, Scorpio is an elimination program, right? It's going to peel off a layer so that we can get down to the next thing, right? So I think the agenda is set for confronting one thing after another. And that's exactly what we're meant to do right now.
Yeah, well, especially with the South Node in Scorpio. What I noticed right when Mercury and Mars stationed direct and within that week of one another is that they were forming an inconjunct. And because they were both turning themselves around, it really delayed that energy. I mean, Mercury moves so swiftly, typically, but because it was just still retrograde while Mars is turning direct, we had 10 days of this inconjunct. And so for 10 days at least, all I've been hearing about from clients as well is Mercury still retrograde? I thought it was direct. What is going on? Everything's going haywire. I keep losing this, missing that. This is breaking down. And I did have some crazy things happen toward the end of those retrogrades, technologically speaking. It was my turn, Rose. Anyway, I won't get into all that, but no fun dealing with things breaking down, computers and cars and things like that. But anyway, now we are so beyond that barely. Mars is at 9 degrees of Gemini today, and Mercury is at 11, almost 12, so it's, pulling away now. But it was locked in for several days at an exact inconjunct. With Mars being in Gemini, it can have to do with communications with others or confrontations. Anger can come up for sure in, verbal battles, verbal crossfires with people that wherever you've been holding on to something over time with Mercury in Capricorn in conjunct Mars in Gemini, anything that's repressed or suppressed or something you've held on to could have come out really just spontaneously, instinctually, just one little trigger and boom. So you might have been feeling some conflict or some inner stress for sure. But I do feel, especially moving into this weekend, and I'm going to make sure that I get this posted Friday, which is when it's going live on January 27th. So you have it for the weekend. Mercury is moving and is within an orb of influence to its older brother, higher octave, Uranus. Beautiful trine this weekend. So one way that I've experienced this already, Mercury affects us all. It's how we think. It's the ideas we have. And yet if it's ruling specific planets in your chart, it's becoming even more of an influence. And is that things that maybe you wanted to start before but were dragging your heels, or, with Mars retrograde, we really don't have a lot of motivation for new things, right? Because you're going back to the past. You're going back within yourself. You're wanting to hole up or fly away like Rose did into outer space somewhere. Anyway, and it was our time to really go slow and space out and rethink our way forward. But now I think that, and I don't think, I know, I will say that this pairing is really, it's electric and it's exciting and it's potentially earth-moving if you harness it well. And so I would say Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, that little window, like a 4-day window. If anything drops in, like a download or something spontaneous, and I'm sure it's going to be something you started and stopped and want to pick up again. That is the nature of Uranus when it keeps repeating in your life. Look over here, these messages that repeat. I'm hoping that it will inspire you and be exciting, a project you have or something that you want to build in your life or change in your life. It's trying to change something to make it feel brand new again. And you don't have to keep repeating the past and all those old programs, the old programming, even in relationships, it's really a time to, I will just say, if you snooze, you lose, I think, is what we used to say growing up, right? Don't snooze. Don't be snoozing. Don't be caught sleeping on this one, okay? It's a time to really do something with the energy.
Well,
right. If you don't use it, you lose it. How about that?
Yeah, that's a good one. I use that quote all the time. And coming up to the weekend, the 29th, January 29th, just the end of the month here, when we have that lovely Mercury trine Uranus, which is just synchronistic and things falling into place. It's the downloads, it's the insights, it's the aha moments, it's the way things just transpire that seem to work out all right. Also on that day, a couple of other things is, first of all, the sun is in Aquarius, and it is squaring the nodal axis, moving to just past that exact point. And, when the sun is squaring the nodes here, it is kind of a threshold crossing or moving to a next level here, and I'll just say in terms of the evaluation program here of, the sun is creative and connected with the North Node in Taurus here. It's a creative development in terms of the evaluation process. That's what I'll say. Coming up with some new insight on what is of value, what is of meaning, what's worthwhile for you, and so on. And then the sun is forming a lovely trine to that Mars, right? It's air, right? Mars in Gemini and the sun in Aquarius. So I think that is just wonderful for wherever you might not feel it like me, feeling like loose-ended or so on, things clicking into gear, and then you're off to the races, right? So I think that's a way to end the month and start the month of February. I think we've got good planetary assistance.
One recommendation I have, since Mercury is the ruler for Virgo as well, and Virgo connects to our habits, and with Mercury and Uranus both in Earth signs forming that trine, as we talked about before, and I mentioned the 21 days to make a habit, I mean, it's really a good time now to, if you've not been able to really be successful and really being consistent with certain things that you want to change in your life, or habitual changes, even if it's like waking up a little earlier and reading some positive content, or doing a little meditation, or just starting something new that you really want to be part of your daily reality. Now is a perfect time for it to stick and to be very transformative in your life, and it really can be pretty suddenly. And when I think of Uranus, I think of a new wind. I think of our breath. I think of, it's like a new wind in our wings, a new wind at our back, in our sails, and it can provide that fresh new wind. And it is a grounding energy, being that it's in these earth signs, and I can't think of anything more grounding and centering than meditation or yoga, and something that really puts you back into your center of gravity. So that's what I would recommend this weekend, at the very beginning of it.
And Mercury's in the sign of Capricorn. Capricorn's a builder archetype, right? You take one step and it puts you on a little bit more solid ground, and then you take another step, and that's the way it goes with the Mercury process, is that each item that you put in place, each step that you take, gives you something solid, so that you can add another brick, build it up in that way. So I think that's quite great. And another thing that is assisting us is that we're recording this, pre-recording the show, but Venus is just about to move into Pisces. And Venus in Pisces, it's in its what we call the higher octave sign, right? So Venus is the ruler of Taurus, which is the sign that Uranus is in, the sign that the North Node is in, and that has everything to do with value and meaning. But when Venus moves into Pisces, it's all about what has ultimate value and meaning, right? So these are our ideals and so on. And as Venus will be moving through the sign of Pisces to the 19th of February, and that's all about stirring potential, right? An archetype of Pisces is that of hidden potential or brewing potential. And so planets that are in the sign of Pisces and so forth, they stir the potential that is now reaching its time is ready chapter.
Excellent. Well, I love the way you described that, Venus being in its higher octave sign. This, to me, creates a bridge between Earth and the heavens. Here we go again. There seems to be a repeating theme. And I've said multiple times, I don't know how people move through life and time and space without that connection to a higher being, energy, calling, etc. So to have that pull to that connection to something eternal and something unconditional. So Venus rules Taurus, as you mentioned, which is anything that holds earthly meaning. Even material things are Venus, but anything that we attach to is Venus on Earth. It can be anything that pleases us through our senses. And yet Pisces, which is ruled by Neptune, ultimate meaning, are the things that are timeless, right? And so to have these two linked, Venus and Pisces, it can link us with the timeless more seamlessly, more effortlessly when we surrender to it, surrendering to a more eternal connection. And maybe in your relationships on Earth, it can provide an opportunity to just, to heal the past or to let the waters, water under the bridge, the expression?
Yeah.
Anything that's just getting bottled up that's, you don't feel is really, it's recycling itself, and just allow it to be water under the bridge. I mean, there's just no use recycling the things that don't appear to be able to work themselves out in the ways that they have. So I really do feel like there's a higher offering here with this transit. It's only 3 weeks long, but you can maximize its presence and take the high road at every turn with this one, and you will benefit big time.
And the Venus in Pisces is a dissolving influence, so it can dissolve whatever barriers or whatever holdups you have. And the other thing about Pisces is entertaining the possibilities. It is moving to a higher catalog, right? To feel inspiration and so forth, to allow for inspiration to come in, to allow yourself to entertain possibilities. As they say, if you can't create it in your mind's eye, you can't, manifest it as well too, right? So imagination, the ability to aspire higher, right? These are important components in terms of being able to, if you can visualize it, you can create it, right? So to allow yourself to have that opportunity. And Venus in Pisces as well, too, we've got all these other transits that are going on, but to allow for moments of stillness, to allow for moments of quiet, so that you can actually hear your higher self, hear that higher calling, allow yourself to attune in a larger, broader way, to open up to more spiritual dimensions of life, or those universal principles and so on. And there's good work that we can do right there.
Yeah, one thing I was keeping my eye on too is that Venus is going to trine the South Node in Scorpio and sextile the North Node in Taurus, and Venus rules Taurus on Thursday, February 7th, and so that will be essentially, did I have the date right? The 7th. Let me just make sure. No, not Thursday. That's going to be, I have the date incorrect. Hang on here.
Oh, I see.
It's coming up here soon.
I have the 2nd of February, actually.
2nd of February.
2nd of February.
Yeah, I wrote it down wrong.
Yeah.
So the 2nd of February is that is Thursday. Venus will be forming a trine to the South Node in Scorpio and a sextile to the North Node in Taurus. And this will allow for anything that you're working on today to reveal itself, like the results, right, of your efforts, the fruits of your labor, essentially, it just is a really wonderful day to. It is a day also to be able, to find what you're looking for in those spaces of silence and quiet. It can be social when Venus is, in alignment to the nodes. It can be a beautiful energy for gathering with others and having it really fill you up in many ways, but you can also experience that in a quiet space as well. But I really love that alignment. It's almost like hard for me to put words to it because there's so much water involved, right? That Pisces influence is so strong. And also the moon is in Cancer that day.
Right.
And so the moon will, in the morning, at least in the west, it's going to trine that Venus and the South Node. So what it allows you to do is let go of resistance, really be more in tune with your emotional body and what it is that you need and how to rise higher on the climb, is the best way that I can put that. It just looks like a beautiful energy that day. So to create space to allow yourself to experience it.
Yeah, so we're coming into the first of the month with this lovely energy. And it is on the 4th of February that Venus and Mars are in square. And the square relationship that they have is at a turning point. It's a last quarter square for those students of astrology out there. And I've talked about this a little bit before. Venus and Mars, it's a 2-year cycle. And that's the relationship cycle, as I always say, me to me, me to you, and me to us, right? The new relationship cycle that started in February reached its halfway mark at the beginning of December. And from this February 4th until about April 2nd, I think it is, we're into this next chapter. The Venus cycle is going to go all the way to 2025. But this is a turning point. So at this point here, we get to uncover more, unpack more. And again, it is all about our essential needs and about getting the fulfillment out of our relationship dynamics. And it is about tuning in and allowing yourself to feel and process along some new lines as well too. So to take that relationship dynamic to some kind of new level. And again, as I say, that's relationship to yourself as well as to others, socially and intimately as well too.
So self-forgiveness for sure, and really experiencing your own just the beauty that lies within you, everything that lives within you, and just allowing yourself to love who you are a bit more, to be kinder to yourself, I think is what I want to say. We can all be hard on ourselves at times, and so, when we are kinder to ourselves, then the world follows suit, does it not? Right? Because we are tapping into something more pure and something that is more elevated, and so it's a wonderful time to forgive yourself, to forgive others, and to just rise to another level of living. We'll be right back after the break with Rose Marcus.
Find out about Kristin Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristinFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of evolutionary astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed, personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristin's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristinFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
What would happen if you didn't follow the established path? Would you feel scared or proud? Could you explain that helping the people of Peru improve their own community would also have an effect on your own? Would you rather make your own way or spend a lifetime saying, what if? Life is calling. How far will you go? Peace Corps. To find out more, call 1-800-424-8580 or go to peacecorps.gov.
I'm William Shatner, and this is Jimmy. Animals like Jimmy are often left behind by people fleeing hurricanes, fires, floods, and earthquakes. These abandoned animals cannot survive on their own. If you must evacuate your home, please never leave an animal behind. If you absolutely cannot take your animal with you, never leave him helplessly chained or caged. Many animals die because they cannot escape fires or rising waters. Animals need your help. Thank you.
Call PETA today, 757-622-PETA.
HealthyLife.net, the Positive Radio Network.
All right, we have returned, and it's a big year, 2023. Pluto is entering Aquarius in March. And Rose, you are part of a team of evolutionary astrologers, the JWG organization of evolutionary astrologers, or association, I should say.
Yes.
We are part of this team of astrologers that have been teaching since September, and you and Ari are going to teach a class on this, so go ahead and share that with the listeners.
Yeah, so on February 4th, Ari Moshe and I are going to be talking about the momentous Pluto in Aquarius transit. And this is a once-in-a-lifetime transit. Pluto will move into Aquarius in March 23rd, and it will just dip into Aquarius for a couple of months this year. It will come back into Aquarius at the start of 2024, but it won't be till the end of 2024 when it'll start its long haul. We're going to have Pluto in Aquarius for the next 20 years. So this is an important transit for all of us because Pluto represents evolution, and it represents the collective soul and your individual soul. So come join us for this talk. And 2 weeks later, Ari and I will be doing a mentoring class as well, too, for those who want to sign up for that. So all that information is on our website, the JWGAEA.org is where you will find out information about that and the rest of the once-a-month lectures that we are doing. So,
Great.
Yes.
Yeah, you can do a drop-in. You can do the drop-in class. You don't have to be part of the whole series. If you haven't signed up, you can just sign up for the class if you wish, and then decide if you want to continue on further to the mentorship class, which I'm sure will be a lot more hands-on. And how is this Pluto transit going to be influencing you personally? We're all going to be in this together and affected by it, but. Yeah, this is a really, really big turn for the collective and for all of us personally. So I look forward to that class. It's going to be excellent.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
And I have an article on my website, by the way, for listeners on Pluto and Aquarius. So if you want to read, it is available for you to check out there as well, too, rosemarcus.com.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. So
yeah, back to this Venus-Mars square, by the way. Mars is in the sign of Gemini as well, too. And, Gemini deals with duality and contradiction and dilemma and all of that, and I do think that this Venus-Mars in its turn-a-corner place, if you have had any confusion over left foot, right foot, as I say, which direction to go into, this Venus-Mars transit starting on the 4th of February, bringing us through until the beginning of April, really helps you to get yourself onto the right track, right? Do I go left or do I go right? And there's no right or wrong turn. It's just going to open up a different thread. But as I say, with the last of the Mars transit through the sign of Gemini, this last end of it, as we move through it, it's experiential, of course, but you're going to see the racehorses of your life, the things that are strongest, the things that are most compelling, the kind of the driving force, the thing that is calling to you the most, or the thing that looks like it's going to deliver the best, and that is for you to pay attention to the signals, and the signals take place through the external, through the messages that you hear out there, through what you observe, but through what you also observe on the inner plane as well, too.
That is an excellent word for that, signals.
Signals.
So you're seeing the signal through the square?
Yes.
The Mars square Venus?
Yes. Yes, and of course the Venus in trine to the South Node, uncovering, and in sextile to the North Node, uncovering. And as we move through the month ahead, Venus in the sign of Pisces is working its way to a conjunction with Neptune, and it will do that on the 15th of February. So, as Venus and Neptune work together, they are a planetary pair coming together here. By the time we get to that point, you should be a long way through a process, of feeling your way along, of dissolving perhaps the illusions that you might have, of feeling your way along potentials and so forth. So it will be an interesting month ahead.
Well, one thing to point out, I realized as well, is that Venus is going to move before that into a sextile to Uranus on the 8th of February. And so this is right after that weekend, the Mars-Venus square. Venus rules Uranus in Taurus. And so that sextile is also, there's like a midweek breakthrough kind of energy, something unexpected. Who knows? Maybe you get a sudden bonus at work, or a raise, but there's some unexpected boon, perhaps, or some unexpected gesture or grace that might cross your path. But also, for sure, Venus in Pisces connects to our dream state, so there can be things that drop in while you're dreaming at night, or even in the middle of the day if you're sort of daydreaming. This is very spontaneous, sudden surge of energy that gives you the confirmation or the validation that you're on track. So I love that little sextile there as well.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot going on in the month. Like on the 10th, Mercury, which is in the sign of Capricorn, is conjunct Pluto, so it's completing on Pluto. On the 15th, Venus is completing on Neptune, and on the 16th, Sun and Saturn join forces as well, too. So, on the 11th of February, Mercury moves into Aquarius as well, too. So Mercury in Aquarius brings in some new insights. Again, it is energizing and so forth. So that's a run of stars between about the 10th to about the 16th that are really productive, I think, helping to define things.
Yeah, on the 10th, which is Friday, February 10th, Mercury and Pluto will be conjunct in Capricorn at the late degrees before Mercury moves into Aquarius.
Right.
There's something about that feels like such an energy of commitment, right? You really have gleaned a lot in your journey in recent days leading up to that point. You feel ready to kind of put your money where your mouth is, as they say, or you feel ready to really commit to something longer term. But, yeah, you've been feeling your way until then. I love that expression with Venus moving through Pisces. You're swimming your way through something, but feeling your way. You're feeling everything. I mean everything when Venus is in Pisces. And when you feel something, then, and it feels right, then it is right. That's what I always like to say. If it feels right, it is right. And so with Mercury then joining Pluto, being your soul and a soul commitment, I feel like you have the information you need at this point. February 10th, Friday, you have the information, you feel ready, and you feel ready to commit to in the long run. The changes can start to take place.
And Capricorn, cementing or solidifying, and Capricorn deals with reality, and it deals with, coming to the end and so forth. So I think that transit is very confirming. And then right after that, moving into Aquarius, it's saying, okay, well, I've reached this point. I've come to this conclusion. And, with the idea of Pluto being there, that having arrived at this particular point, it has changed my perspective. It has changed how I'm going to move forward from here, right? So then Mercury moving into Aquarius right after that gives the opportunity for some new action, some new implementation, right? I heard the break, so maybe I should take a pause.
Yeah. Oh, before we just jump to that break, it also, what we learn and what we know through these transits is that there's a time for everything. And I do feel when Pluto and Mercury merge in that Capricorn combination, we will feel, okay, this does feel like it's finally the right time. So we'll be back after the break.
Find out about Kristin Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristinFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of evolutionary astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed, personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristin's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristinFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Have you ever wondered why you are here on this planet and what the point to all of this is? Evolutionary astrology is a natural science that allows for an understanding of the evolutionary journey of the soul from life to life. Evolutionary astrology provides a vehicle to understand prior life dynamics that have led to the reason and purpose for the life you live. It offers a depth of information and insights about each person that no other type of astrology can provide. As Jeffrey Wolf Green, the founder of evolutionary astrology, says,
for those who wish to unveil the depth of who you actually are, I would highly recommend that you seek out qualified evolutionary astrologers such as Kristin Fontana and other graduated students of the School of Evolutionary Astrology. For those who are considering becoming an astrologer to make it a natural career, I'd recommend that you consider Jeffrey Wolf Green's School of Evolutionary Astrology, or it will assist you in answering and your clients answering a big question: why am I here? Thanks for listening, and God bless.
HealthyLife.net, where positive overcomes negative.
All right, we are back. I'm here with Rose Marcus from Vancouver, Canada, and we are discussing the transits now, moved into February.
And I love what you just said about time, because Capricorn is the archetype about time, and Mercury and Pluto, as we were just talking about before the break, is I'm now ready. It's now time, right? And I just wanted to mention that before we get to those transits, on the 3rd of February, Ceres is going to station retrograde. And Ceres is in the sign of Libra, and when it stations retrograde, it's going to be in an exact opposition to Jupiter, which is in the sign of Aries. So we have this Aries-Libra dynamic happening, and when a planet turns retrograde, it's slow in its orbit before it picks up some speed. So this Jupiter-Ceres opposition is going to, be with us for a bit of time here through the beginning of the month and taking us through. It is the 5th in actuality when the exact opposition happens. So it is over this first week or so that we have this. And Ceres, Aries Libra is always the archetype of what do I need from myself and what do I need from relationship, right? How do I find the balance here between both of those points? Jupiter and Aries, again, my instincts and my impulses directed towards. And, of course, Aries is bringing up the Mars transit as well, too. So that Jupiter and Ceres can be a polarization in terms of relationship dynamics, or it can bring something in. Ceres is, I call her the goddess of seasons. Her energy, her influence is quite similar to Pluto in terms of its transformative ability. And Ceres also has a statement of recall as well, too. So if it was off, it goes on. If it was on, it goes off. So this could be, with that Jupiter Ceres, could be a karmic replay or a karmic recall. Could be a re-meet. It could be a synchronistic moment of bringing someone or something back into your life, or a time to resume, and so forth, right? So just watch whatever happens during that period of time. Ceres is in the sign of Libra. Again, referencing all that we said about Venus in the first portion of the show, right? So again, I think this is a very dynamic time for relationship development, relationship advance, breaking new ground in relationship. If you are tired of repeating themes in terms of why is it that I always seem to gravitate towards the same? Why do I always make the same decisions? Am I being self-honoring? How can I change how I show up in relationship? I think we have quite a lot of energy to support us to find a new way.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And as we've said before so many times, it does feel so similar to Pluto this way in a chart when the soul is wanting to recover its power. In a strong Pluto transit, for example, Ceres is also about recovering something that you feel that you've lost, and recovering a part of yourself that you have that's been dormant, even a part of your nature, a part of what it is that you wish to do in the world. And so, yeah, these two are absolutely intimately connected, and also in the myth, right? So, of Ceres and Persephone. All right, that is definitely a key to all of this.
Yeah, so...
Where are we?
Yeah, seasons. I always think of Ceres as seasons, so maybe we get a fresh start, an early start on the spring season. It's a spring force influence here. Yeah. Like
so an early start would be good.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I have a question. What do you feel about, so Venus, as you were mentioning, and we talked about it sextiling Uranus, which I love, and then as it approaches Neptune, which is the ruler of Venus in Pisces, and it's the higher octave of Venus, as it closes in on Neptune before it becomes new, that will, I believe, is the 15th of February, there is a healing energy. There is a culminating energy. There also can feel to be an elusive energy at that time, or maybe things aren't feeling so clear. But a new moon in Pisces does approach late in the 19th on the west and on the 20th. I'm wondering, though, for you, so before Venus moves in front of Neptune, and at that crossroads, how would you articulate that energy?
Well, I think of it in two ways, right? Again, Venus is a dissolving influence. So it is maybe time has run out for you on whatever you are working with right now, whether that is relationship or anything that you're doing, an ambition that you have, and so forth. So it is about dissolving illusions so that you can see the reality, right? On the other hand, it is full of potential, right? So I think of that as a time to allow and to go with the flow. Things that are naturally falling by the wayside, let them, because it is creating space for something new to come in, right? And
definitely,
that's a beautiful transit, and it is followed up, despite the fact that can be confusing, and you may have a sense of uncertainty and so forth. The very next day, Sun and Saturn are conjunct, right? So again, they crystallize something, or they set a new reality into play. And so right behind that, if you can allow yourself to simply be with things, when you struggle, you can get yourself right off track. But when you go with the flow, things can just happen so easily and so naturally. I mean, that's what we all want to do is, be on our natural course, right? We want things to come easily, and we want the things that are best for us to show up, right? So this is to allow that to happen. It can be a whole new reality that could get started that could be quite lovely. Of course, the 15th is right after Valentine's Day, so, it's like, I'm a hopeless romantic. I always see the good in people, and I always see, opportunity, and I always think that that we have the ability to open up our hearts, to show compassion, to show kindness to one another, that we are deserving of grace, right? Of all good things.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, one thing that I do love, you're right, like it's almost like overnight the energy changes pretty significantly, especially when Venus goes behind Neptune and then steps in front of Neptune. It can be like an opening of the veil, right, or a lifting of the veil. What was once not uncertain is now quite clear, crystallizing, and the opportunity is revealed. And what feels to be even more auspicious on the heels of that, or equally is so, is that Mercury in Aquarius is working its way to a trine to Mars, and that can really expedite things. Mercury in Aquarius trining Mars in Gemini, it starts really the week of the 20th, the day of the early in the morning, the day of that new moon, but the first 2 days of that week are quite strong. And Venus is then in Aries, because it's moved into the sign of Aries, and Venus rules Mars. Venus in Aries is ruled by that Mars, so things are syncing up supportively at that time.
Absolutely. Venus moves into Aries on the 19th, and Mercury trines Mars on the 22nd. So we have a nice setup for moving towards the end of the month.
Indeed. All right, we're going to move to a final break. We'll be right back.
Find out about Kristin Fontana and get your free weekly astrological forecast on her website, KristinFontana.com. Read articles written by the founder of evolutionary astrology, Jeffrey Wolf Green. Evolutionary astrology is a spiritual perspective astrology from Pluto's point of view, and what a view it is. You can even order a detailed, personalized chart that tells you about your past, present, and future. You'll also discover where and when Kristin's upcoming conferences, workshops, and appearances will be on KristinFontana.com. That's KRISTIN Fontana.com.
Take one step towards spirit. Spirit will take 1,000 steps toward you. Come explore the world of evolutionary astrology with Rose Marcus. Rose Marcus is well known for her heartfelt passion, sensitive counseling skills, and dedication to helping others. You can now study evolutionary astrology from the comfort of your own home through live teleconference classes with Rose. To register for the next Evolutionary Astrology School, to read your in-depth monthly horoscope, or to book a private astrology with Rose Marcus, please visit her website, www.rosemarcus.com.
Oh, man, it never fails. My suitcase just got ripped apart.
Life is a journey. Make it a pleasant one. Use Samsonite. You know the name. For almost a century, Samsonite luggage has proved itself to be the worldwide leader in innovative travel solutions. Let it be yours. Visit HealthyLife.net's affiliate Samsonite on our homepage and click to look at the fine luggage from suitcases to golf travel bags. And don't forget, take a look at their travel accessories. Make life a journey, a pleasant one, with Samsonite.
In college, I took a lot of history and liberal arts classes, and frankly, I don't remember much of any of it. But as an adult, I find myself engrossed in fascinating programs on the A&E and History Channel. They've pretty much helped me to be pretty impressive at social functions, and I just found out today that I can purchase DVDs of my favorite A&E and History Channel programs right through HealthyLife.net. You should visit HealthyLife.net and order your favorite A&E and History Channel program DVDs as well, and then discover how many people you can impress during your next social occasion.
HealthyLife.net, the positive radio network.
All right. We have returned in discussing the transits, February 2023. So much happening, so many fast-moving energies happening, really, right, as we progress into February, which is so different than where we've been. We've been in the throes of a Mars retrograde in Gemini and a Mercury retrograde and Uranus retrograde. Uranus rules Saturn in Aquarius. But now things are moving direct in the wheels. You will really feel to be moving more swiftly. And a couple other things that I was noticing just after Valentine's Day, as Venus moves in front of Neptune, Venus will move into a sextile to Pluto. That's the 19th of February. And Mars will also be sextiling, Mercury will be sextiling Jupiter that weekend also. So the weekend, if you're wanting to celebrate Valentine's Day, it's a Tuesday, right? Who's really going to want to go out on a Tuesday? I don't know. Pick that Sunday before or the weekend after. That's my vote. But I think, too, because, opportunities will present themselves that weren't available prior. I mean, that just feels a little foggy. I don't know, maybe the weather isn't allowing you to have the time you had hoped for. That walk in the park is out. It's snowing. Actually, that might be a good time to take a walk in the park when it is snowing. But yeah, I really do like that weekend after. And I want to talk to you about, though, the new moon. It's really 0 Pisces, pretty much, on the 20th. I think it's like, what time is it, 11:30 at night or something in the west on the 19th, but pretty much on the 20th of February. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's 11:05 p.m., just 1 degree Pisces, and, that would be a good weekend if you want to put off your Valentine's till the 18th or 19th, I think that's good. Venus, the sun moves into Pisces on the 18th, and Venus in Aries is good for passion and good for putting some energy into things. So, so that's a good aspect as well too. But I think the new moon coming up is supported by the Mercury trine Mars aspect as well too. So a new moon in Pisces is again about going with the flow, feeling your way through, and aspiring higher. I'll just say allowing for things to reveal themselves to you. It is kind of an interesting month because we're finishing off with so much. In the month of March, we have Saturn finishing off in leaving Aquarius for Pisces. We have Pluto moving into Aquarius, and we have Mars finishing at 7 months of Gemini. So this whole month ahead is one of transition, I think, and it is for you to recognize, to allow yourself to be responding, to be sensitive enough to pick up the signals as they switch and energize, right? Because I think we're going to be getting it from a lot of different directions here. So it is perhaps to know that there's some things that you're going to move through quite rapidly, and other things that require time, right? So we're operating at a batch of different levels this month. That's what this.
Oh my goodness!
Right?
You said that so perfectly. Can I just say, picking up the signals as they switch? That is just so Uranian, Piscean. When in the old days, right? Nobody has CDs anymore, even records. but we do, right, Rose?
Yeah.
But if you're purchasing some digital music and there's a set of tracks, right, that you're listening to, I don't know, you're on Spotify or something, and inevitably, you'll have the ballad, you'll have the Pisces power ballad maybe, you'll have this, slow love song, and then before you know it, it's just the fast moving, get out of your chair kind of dance music, and it takes a certain kind of personality to be able to switch those kinds of tracks so fast. I'm laughing right now because I know a Pisces person who loves power ballads, and it's the kind of soul that just wants to play the same song 10 times over, right? I love this song. Let's play it again. Let's play it again.
That's me too.
They don't want to get they don't want to get out of that, like, that dreamy, loving, like when I say a power ballad, it's a love song that's just so powerful, and, the high note that gets hit, and so it's hard to sometimes to go from Pisces energy into that Aquarian, fast-moving energy. And it's interesting because Pisces actually follows Aquarius in the zodiac, but we're going to have a new moon in Pisces still with a lot of electric energy pulled forward from Aquarius that, gets our feet moving pretty fast. So I like that, Rose. You've got the way with words, as always, pick up the signals as they switch. So get ready, people, for that.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a lot of living in a short space of time through the month of February, and it will be over before you know it. It really will be. So make the most out of every single moment. Every moment is an entire universe unto itself, right?
It sure can be.
Use it as fully as
you can. I think another message, too, with the Pisces, with the new moon, and even with Venus now entering Pisces, by the time you're listening to this show, Venus will be in Pisces already. We're just talking about it right before it enters. It's really important to start your day and end your day with all that you are grateful for. And when you focus on all that you have instead of all that you have not, which all that you have not would be Virgo, all that you have would be Pisces, you are generating a whole different run of energy for your day. And also, if you're grateful before you go to sleep for the things that you have or the things that are right and well in your world, then you can go to sleep in a more peaceful place, right, versus the wheel of worrying that can happen, too, at times. So I think the Pisces energy does really allow us to more easily focus on the things that are working well and dream about what can change. It's really an energy of dreaming and really visualizing or envisioning and wishing and praying for. And when we can envision something better for ourselves, we are steps closer to having that, because we put ourselves emotionally in a place that will allow the rivers to flow in that way. So remember that, too, with Venus in this sign. It's okay. It's free to dream. And, within reason, just to be realistic in the way that you work with those spaces. And I think it's really a time to generate more of what you wish for.
Well, and really, in terms of your creative process, submerge yourself entirely, give into it all, right, and it will help you to move through it to the other side, to come up to the surface. It's like, get off the diving board and take a deep dive, right, and just feel that power and that beauty of being totally immersed in the water, right? It's lovely.
I grew up near the beach, and I know I'm kind of one of these people. I do go and I want to feel the water first. I just don't sprint out there and dive in. And usually, when it's up to your ankles, for some reason it's so much colder on your feet. What is that? I think it's because I've got Saturn in Pisces or something. I don't know. But the feet, it's just not a good measure for it. But there's nothing like the full submersion, I would say, too. Just not even thinking about it, just diving, head first inside. And just allowing your whole body to be one with the water. You're right, and submerge yourself entirely. I love that. It's absolutely going to be what rejuvenates you the most. And if you're not near an ocean to dive into, or there's no way you're going in because it's that cold, just metaphorically speaking, allow yourself to submerge, and you will really feel purified on the other side.
Yeah, and
renewed.
Another very healing thing is music, right? So if you're feeling anxious or feeling worried or so on, nothing can soothe the soul more than turning on some sounds that you love and allowing yourself to go deep with that. And another thing is pay attention to the dream cycle, because certainly you could have very active dreams while Venus and Neptune are together and maybe giving you information. So pay attention, yeah.
Yes, wow. Well, there's a variety of energy to pull from. Everything's moving forward. I want to say that one more time. You have the green light to go. You can go slow still for a little bit, but it's about to pick up fast, and this weekend could get exciting, too, for some of you. If nothing else, some things you're thinking about might be very, just creative and wanting you to tap, the energy is wanting you to tap into it more seriously and with a greater commitment. So allow the new to become you. And we wish you all a happy 2023, a prosperous one, and one that allows you to feel like you are evolving along the journey of life. So thank you so much, Rose. And remember to check out the show, Pluto and Aquarius, with Ari Moshe and Rose Marcus, February 2nd, jwgaea.org, if you want to sign up for that class. I look forward to seeing you there, Rose. Until next time, namaste.